Hi guys, my name is OP. I'm a prop trader from Hedge, and I'm here to give you the daily market analysis of the cryptocurrency markets. Shall we jump into the charts immediately? Uh, right now we are looking at Bitcoin USD perpetual on a Hedge trading platform, and we can see Bitcoin just like yesterday. I sound like a broken record saying this over and over again, but sometimes we just have to bear with the boring charts and patience. It pays us sometimes as traders. We have to be patient sometimes and let the market come to us. Let price action dictate whatever trade we are taking, either up or down. There's always money to be made, either long or short in that sense. So right now, just like yesterday, we are still rangebounding. We are just within this range of between 80,000 and 82,000 thereabouts, and 88, 80, 82, 84,000 thereabouts, and we are just moving sideways movements, which makes it boring. There's less volatility right now in the market. So of course we have to just watch and pay attention to all our levels, and we keep our levels and we are watching. It's still maintaining this level. It's above the 50 moving average. Looking at the RSI, it also looks like it's just moving sideways. So kind of boring right now. We are looking for volatility, but one thing I should really specify and really highlight rather is that we are actually looking very good despite all the macro headlines and all the headwinds we are facing on from the macro front. Like for yesterday and day before yesterday, we had the Fed Jerome Powell with all the puts, and even him sounding very hawkish on that, even with the China and US trade tariffs and all of that going on. We will go into that further within this video, and just all of that, all these macro headwinds that we are facing. Even despite all of this, Bitcoin has still been able to maintain this support of 80,000. We have not gone below 80,000, which is actually very bullish for the markets and very bullish for all of us as traders. And it shows us like Bitcoin has a lot of support and a lot of buyers right now holding on the prices, and a lot of people aren't selling. So people are not running out of the door, which gives us momentum and gives us a lot of bullish sentiment that a lot of things will still happen. And once everything is cleared, especially on the macro front, once that is cleared, it will be definite. It is definite that it will go back up and it will go violently to the upside. That is why we are every day we make these kind of videos like this to pay attention to it, because we want to ride the movements to the upside. Let's move along. We are not looking at Ethereum right now today because Ethereum has just been lackluster. I think I've highlighted it for the past week. It has just been downtrending and pretty much a very, very ugly looking chart. We are actually bearish on Ethereum in the short to medium term right now. But looking at Solana looks also pretty much like what Bitcoin is saying. It looks similar to the Bitcoin chart. It is range bounding and also showing us sideways movements at $134 per one Solana. But looking at the RSI looks like it's pointing to the upside. So expect further maybe short-term bullish movement to the upside in the near term. Looking at other charts, we look at XRP. XRP looks to have drawn a bullish flag here in XRP, and it looks like it might either, of course, every chart looks like either is going either ways, but the bull flag looks like it might go up, and if it goes up, we would know that it will get to the $3. So if it goes up, we know we're going to around $3, and if it's going to go down, we'll be looking at something around $1 thereabouts. So we are looking at that on XRP charts. Then we move ahead and just look at cryptocurrency or altcoins and cryptocurrencies. A lot of them, a basket of them, using this cryptobubbles.net. It gives us a view of us just looking at the markets in general, and we can see a mixture of red and green bubbles, and showing that right now we have a mixed bag of bullish or bearish sentiments. Nothing really decided at the moment. We see some outliers of bulls, of coins that are doing very well, like Tau here, IMX here, FET, the AI tokens. So what is just my view of this is that a lot of AI kind of based tokens are kind of bullish. You see Fatcoin here, the highest loser of the day, has dropped by 18%. And that is the meme coin. That's one of the leading indicators of meme coin sentiment. So you see that is also going down. But look, overall, I would say we have much more bullish sentiments towards AI and AI tokens, AI-based tokens. Then we move ahead to the crypto fear and greed index. We see right now we are still in fear territory. Yesterday we were in worse fear territory, but now it is improving, but we are still in fear, which shows sentiment is actually capitulating at the moment. And just more bullish news on Bitcoin in total. We see SPA. SPA, of course, people in Africa, there's a lot of SPA restaurants, SPA supermarkets over in Africa, and they are dipping toes and they are trying to experiment into actually the SPA is a global grocery retailer across 48 countries. I never knew, across Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia, and they are testing and cryptocurrency payments. Quite interesting in Switzerland. So that's quite interesting and bullish sentiment for overall for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole. Powell, somebody that's respected in the space, also is just giving us a chart that we have mentioned before, which is the global M2 supply, which is the global money fiat currency supply, and charting it against Bitcoin chart, and it looks quite similar, the chart, and it looks like Bitcoin is bound for upside movement in the near term. Of course, the near term we can be talking some months, so that is yet to be seen, but it shows us bullish sentiment. Ivan on Tech, another OG in the Bitcoin space, is also saying Bitcoin is on the brink of an explosion based on liquidity, which is the global M2 that I just pointed out. Trump deals coming through. We see Italy also just had a meeting with Trump, and they said they are working on a deal. A few countries, Japan, off the top of my head, Japan, Thailand, and a lot of countries have actually come forward and having talks with Trump on clarifying and renegotiating and settling this tariff drama. Of course, we still see China as the outlier. I think China was the main culprit or the main country that Trump was trying to target within all of this. Well, obviously, because he mentions China all the time. Then we also see with Fed easing interest rates, and although we will come to that soon, the Fed Jerome Powell and Trump are going at it because Trump wants him to ease interest rates, but Jerome Powell is staying firm and is being hawkish at the moment. So that's causing a lot of rift. But once that is cleared and that is aired out, that will give us a much more bullish sentiment for what is coming up in the near term. And we just go to another respected OG in the space, Anthony Pompliano, and he's just reporting what is happening especially from the Financial Times, saying that a lot of countries are setting up strategic Bitcoin reserves following the United States. And because the United States has been reported that they were looking into it, I'm not sure if they have I don't think they have officially set up a strategic Bitcoin reserves, but I know it has been passed in current Congress. Of course, it needs to be passed and it needs to be made into policy, and it makes it into law, kind of, in that sense. So a lot of people, and he's saying dream theory is a beautiful thing. Let's just listen to a little bit of his commentary.
Numerous countries and sovereign wealth funds on crypto policy, but also they're helping these countries establish strategic Bitcoin reserves. Now, it makes sense. Countries want to make sure that industry players are helping them be informed on all different types of policies. But this happens in every other industry as well. So the part of today's article that caught my attention, though, is that so many nation states, they're considering a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is the game theory that Bitcoiners have been talking about for decades. Once one large nation starts to acquire Bitcoin, all countries are now incentivized to compete to acquire as much Bitcoin as they possibly can. Take a look at this graphic. It perfectly explains the dilemma that countries.
So it's quite interesting. Once one nation starts to adopt Bitcoin, other nations it's just a ripple effect, and everyone just starts to accumulate and keep Bitcoin in their reserves as like a backdrop or like a hedge against fiat currency and economies of the world. Global economy is going down, imploding at some point. You can see Solana, a tweet by Solana saying blockchain is going to take us from the financial system of today, which I just mentioned, to the financial system of tomorrow, internet, capital markets. So, of course, institutions are here and they are banking on all of this. We are also here. We are trading, banking on all of this. All of this is what we believe, and this is what we think is going to be happening in the future. The future is here. The future is now, and we are here to take advantage of it and to capitalize on the movements as traders and to make money. Then we just go straight to President Trump and the all the rhetoric going between Federal Trump and Fed Chair Powell and all of this drama that is going on, we have to obviously pay attention to it because it is macroeconomics and it affects markets either ways. So it's something we have to pay attention. Let's just listen to what he's talking about regarding him trying to get rid of Jerome Powell as the Fed president, because of course Jerome Powell doesn't want to. He's hawkish at the moment and he doesn't want to reduce interest rates, but Trump wants the opposite, which is to increase interest rates.
Jerome Powell, you said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave even if you ask him to.
Oh, he'll leave. If I ask him to, he'll be out of there. But I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him.
So Trump is just not happy with Jerome Powell. He wants there to be a monetary printer to be printing. Of course, that's bullish for our bags, but we have to look at it from macro perspective, what that will say in the overall economy, right? So I think Jerome Powell is trying to fight on that. So two of them are still going on onto that, and that tussle is still going on. So we'll see the outcome of that in the near term, maybe this week. Of course, not this week, because I think America is right now on bank holiday, on the public holidays because of the Good Friday today. So every day we off today. The markets, the traditional financial markets are off today and on Monday. So less activity that will be going on. But all obviously for us in the cryptocurrency space and looking at it from as traders, we have to be cautious of times like this and there's always immense volatility during times like this. Especially I notice during weekends, there's a lot of volatility that goes on. Then we just go ahead to Kobeisi letter, what it says. President Trump accuses Fed Chair Jerome Powell of playing politics and says that interest rates should be coming down now. Europe is cutting rates but our guy wants to play cute. And he said it's terrible, and all this rhetoric against Jerome Powell is just trying to drag him through the mud. Of course, that is the fight between President Trump and Jerome Powell, and also again we see another one between same Trump and China. Of course, the US and China in this sense. So this tariff tussle that's been going on is still ongoing without a clear direction of where they are heading to or a clear resolution to this quagmire. Right now, we still see China now hitting back with and halting all LNG, liquefied natural gases purchases from the US, which of course will be bad for the US, US gas reserves, users, gas producers. So China is just hitting back at what China has been doing, and China also it was breaking, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, China is selling 15,000 Bitcoin and opting to buy record amounts of gold. And it's very obvious when you look at gold has been hitting all-time high from all-time high, and it's just going up. And China is now also easing interest rates, so doing the opposite of what America wants. America wants Jerome Powell to ease interest rates. Europe is easing interest rates right now. China has his interest rates, and they are printing. So they are into QE right now. They are following QE. Europe is doing QE right now. Only America is on QT, which is the opposite of that. So there's a lot of liquidity expected to flow in crypto and Bitcoin right now in the near term from China. So just moving on with that, China has hit back on America on LNG. Also now, China is also hitting back on America, especially on big brands. So that is expected to see what is going to happen in the near term, because a lot of big brands are being exposed, like name it, like your Louis Vuittons, your Tiffany's, and they are just China is just trying to expose them that a lot of Louis Vuitton bags or a lot of luxury so-called goods that's being sold in America for exorbitant prices are just actually made in China, and you could get 10% of the same amount for the same quality of brand from China. Let's just listen to a few clips of it.
Accessories. That is why they failed, and that is why we will always be the best. Do you recognize this style, this bag? Of course you do. For the past more than 30 years, we have been the OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world. Gucci, Prada, Coach, Louis Vuitton, you name it. But for this, I am not proud, because we were only making our wages. The profit margin for the people who are actually making the bags are very low. What I'm really proud of is that first, we have the best quality control. Two, we have the best craftsmanship. You know, Chinese craftsmen are always intelligent and diligent. Three, we have the most complete supply chain. We always get what we want, like zippers, accessories of any kind, any color, and leathers immediately. Now, as the USA and its little European brothers are trying to refuse Chinese goods, don't you think luxury brands are not trying to move their OEM out of China? Yes, they did, but they failed because the OEM factories out of China, they don't have good quality control and they don't have as good craftsmanship. Their workers are either too expensive or too lazy. Three, they don't have any supply chain. They always have trouble getting leather or zippers or any accessories.
So I think that's all we should show, but it's just obvious that this drama between China and the US is just getting dirtier and dirtier and expanding to different areas and different manufacturers and producers of different goods. And of course, at the end of the day, who is going to be affected is the retail man on the street that is going to be affected a lot of this, because prices are going to be inflated to exorbitant prices. Because how do you get all this supply? How do you manage supply chain and get all these goods over to the US if there are tariffs? Of course, when there are tariffs, the price is going to be increased from the producer, and who is going to pay for it is the retailer that is going to pay for it, not the US government that is going to pay for this. So at the end of the day, it's the little man that suffers. That's why we have Bitcoin. That's why we should position ourselves and trade this market and position ourselves in what would help us and what will give us an edge above all this fiat currency, all this geopolitics, all these macroeconomics tailwinds and headwinds, and will keep us above all of this and keep us in a hedge us against all these things. And that is why we are in cryptocurrency today. We're just going back to the markets. We are just rebounding, like I said earlier, and we'll just take advantage of whatever whatever direction the market tells us is going to go. So this is all for the market update for today. We continue to watch the market, and we are here to take advantage of the market from zero to Ferrari. Bye.